Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for EMBCA's Hellenic Dual Citizenship Initiative panel discussion in association with AHEPA's Hellenic Cultural Commission. My name is Luke Katsos, and I am the president of EMBCA, the East Mediterranean Business Culture Alliance, and chairman of AHEPA's Hellenic Cultural Commission. As we approach the 200th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution of 1821 next year, many people in the diaspora are very interested, or had considered it, in seriously pursuing Hellenic dual citizenship. For some who have been born in Greece, obviously they have different criteria and scenarios, but have been in the diaspora for many years. They may now want to obtain their passport and citizenship, or for their children for various reasons. For others, it may be that they want to obtain their dual citizenship as part of their birthright under the principle of the nationality law of Hellas, or Hellenic citizenship acquired by descent, or by other approved means. For many, the process has been and can be daunting, complex, and very time-consuming. As such, EMBCA, in association with AHEPA's Hellenic Cultural Commission, and because of the very strong interest around this subject, we decided to have this event to help demystify the process with experts in the field. The panelists will include Hellenic immigration attorneys, Hellenic government officials, and others to discuss the various issues and aspects involved in obtaining Hellenic citizenship. This event is among the many we have had, and we've had approximately 5 events already from July, and will have, and by that I mean another 12 events into next year, that relate to the upcoming 200th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution of 1821. And they're in concert and coordinated with our American Hellenic Association of 1821 Bicentennial Committee. Also, it's important to note that AHEPA, and part of the reason why we're having these numerous events, will be having their Supreme Convention in Athens in July of next year. Our distinguished panelists today for this important topic are the Consul General of the Hellenic Republic in New York, Dr. Konstantine Koutras, the Secretary General of Citizenship in the Hellenic Ministry of Interior, Athanasios Balermpas, AHEPA's Supreme President, George Horiates, Maria Markou of Markou Global Legal Group, Nikolaos of Bregiannos Law in Athens, and Dr. Nikolaos Theodourou of Bregiannos Law. Before we start our panel discussion, the Hellenic Deputy Minister for the Diaspora Hellenes, Konstantinos Vlasis, who could not join us today for the panel discussion, sent us an address that he wanted on this occasion to be presented, and we are honored to play it.
Dear members of the East Mediterranean Business Cultural Alliance, dear participants and friends, dear compatriots, it is a great pleasure to be invited to address your panel discussion webinar, which forms part of a series of events for the upcoming 200th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution. In 2021, we will be celebrating the bicentenary of the beginning of our modern history. And it is, at first, an opportunity to hold festive events and days of remembrance. Beyond that, we'll also have the chance to address practical issues which affect the lives of our compatriots abroad. In this context, your initiative today is very constructive, as the participating experts will provide useful information on ways to acquire the Greek citizenship or obtain the Greek passport. As you are well aware, the Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and the Greek government have set as a priority to strengthen the ties between Greek diaspora and the motherland. In order to achieve this goal, we have developed a coherent policy based on 5 axes, one of which is the improvement of consular services. We have established a joint task force with the Ministry of Digital Administration and the Hellenic Police with the aim to initiate consular outreach assistance, while we are also working on putting consular e-services in place. In this context, I would like to announce that within the next days, we will inaugurate a virtual assistance tool at the Consulate General of Greece in New York, where the demand for services is particularly high. This tool is designed to complement the existing wide spectrum of services provided already online for the Greek citizens through the consulate's website in order to minimize physical presence whenever possible. Dear friends, the digitalization of public administration is a strategic priority for our government to eliminate bureaucracy and speed up administrative procedures. Our intention is to transform our services from a complex and time-consuming process to a simple and trouble-free experience for all of you, and we will make it. Having said that, I would like to congratulate you for this webinar and wish you every success for all your upcoming events. Thank you.
Well, that was certainly an exciting announcement by Deputy Minister Vlasis. It's actually pretty great. And as a matter of fact, it's interesting that it's going to be happening in New York. Obviously, our event and some of the aspects that we'll talk about are really international in scope. But certainly, Dr. Koutras, it's certainly exciting that a lot of the things that will be happening in New York, and that certainly must excite you and everyone at the consulate. Let me just say a few words about Dr. Koutras. He has been the Consul General of the Hellenic Republic in New York since 2016 and has done, quite frankly, a fantastic job during that period. Little background, he has served in the Hellenic Embassy in Ankara, headed the Justice and Home Affairs Department of Hellas's permanent representation to the EU, was the diplomatic counselor to the Ministry of Shipping, Maritime Affairs and the Aegean. And among other duties, he has served as the spokesperson of the Hellenic Ministry of Foreign Affairs and headed the ministry's Information and Public Diplomacy Department. He is a graduate of the University of Bonn in Germany and holds a postgraduate diploma in informatics from the University of Athens and a PhD from the University of Bonn. Thank you and welcome, Konstantine, and congratulations to you. And if you can, so we can lay out the table, if you will, and we'll go presenter by presenter or speaker by speaker, just to give a general outlook, and then we'll get into the details later.
Thank you very much, Lou. Thank you, members of the East Mediterranean Business Cultural Alliance, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to admit that the background photo that you have, Lou, I wish everybody wishes to be there and not in our office, of course, under the Acropolis.
So do I, and that's why we're having this event. That's where I want to be right now.
Hats off for Mr. Katsos. Hats off for Mr. Katsos. Keep going, dear Lou. You are doing a wonderful job. I'm very glad to be addressing today because, as most of you already know, I'm a strong supporter, a strong fan of dual citizenship. I think it is an asset for every Greek American, and I will do my best until the end of my term here to promote this very idea. A couple of months ago, Lou, you have read it surely, well after the pandemic's outbreak, we came across a story in New York Times under the title European Passport, Americans' New Status Symbol. You have read it. I don't know whether we should be treating it like a trophy. However, I was surprised and pleased to see that the European Union, our second home, was coming to the fore. So coming to the center of our discussion, Greek citizenship will, of course, be activated for those who are entitled to the right. However, as you mentioned before, it is not unconditional. The reason why I mentioned this is not to put you off, but to prepare you for the fact that the Greek nationality law has certain requirements. The Secretary General will elaborate on that later, but allow me a very brief introduction. Greek nationality law is based almost entirely on the right of blood, as opposed to the countries such as the United States, for example, where the system is also based on the right of soil. I'm sure you already know as well that Greek legislation on the matter is one of the most rigid in Europe, let's say. And given these circumstances, Greek consular authorities abroad have to fight against three main obstacles or challenges, let's say, in their pursuit of citizenship activation for Greek Americans. First obstacle is the conservative nature of the law. The right to citizenship, dear Lou, is tightly connected to the institution of marriage, and that can create a problem since, as we have seen many times, it is difficult for people to trace their parents' steps way back. Another obstacle is the misinformation and prejudice concerning the national service in the army. People, dear Lou, and mothers in particular, are so afraid of the national service and decide to deprive their children of an important right altogether. The truth is that although males are obliged to serve in the Greek army, I have done it myself some decades ago for 28 months, and it was quite a reinforcing experience in my life. Certain provisions are made for people who were born and raised in the USA. They are entitled to deferment, for example. A third obstacle we had to overcome is the workload due to high demand in the consular authorities. After the pandemic's outbreak and the travel restrictions we're still facing, everyone wanted a Greek passport. Everyone wanted a European passport. What happened was that we had literally dozens of people each day asking for a Greek passport without even being registered Greek citizens. The result was that we were inundated with requests and applications which, under normal circumstances, take months to process. All in all, the situation with Greek citizenship might be time and energy consuming. We will not try to hide that, but we do everything in our powers to facilitate your efforts and make our Greek American community grow larger. This is one of our main aims, exactly as the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs explicitly, and the Prime Minister, of course, explicitly said before. If I had to give simple instructions for a beginner's guide, but okay, let me save that for later, and we'll continue to discuss thoroughly on the matter after my introduction.
Thank you so much for that. From our perspective, I think you know that trophy for us is not what we're interested in at all. There's a tremendous amount of interest. It has nothing to do with what's happening with COVID and the fact that some people want to go to Greece and not use American passports and all the rest of that. That's not where, obviously, we're coming from. We're coming from, a tremendous interest going back, as you know, many years of people who are Hellenic. They feel Hellenic. Their parents were Hellenic, and they want this as part of their birthright and important to them. For the panelists, I will say you'll probably be getting emails relating to the YouTube linkage. What's happening is so many people are trying to come on board that it's becoming a problem. But regardless, this is being taped. So whatever is said right here, people will be able to listen to. So I think that's important to note until YouTube or someone else takes care of the particular issue. We are honored today to also have the Secretary General for Citizenship in the Ministry of Interior Affairs, Athanasios Balermpas. He has a degree in philology from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, an MS in Sustainable Development from the Hellenic University of Athens, a PhD in Architecture faculty from the National Technical University of Athens. He has spoken in several conferences about cities and culture. He has also published many articles in various scientific journals. He writes on history and literature theory and praxis. He has been a columnist in various Hellenic newspapers, and he has served as chairman and CEO of Corinth Canal SA and the CFO of Fleia SA. He has been a certified teacher in international baccalaureate, and we are honored to have the Secretary General for Citizenship in the Ministry of Interior Affairs. Welcome, Athanasi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Katsos, for the invitation. Thank you all the distinguished panelists, and of course, thank all the people that they are watching us right now. Well, the General Consul in New York, Dr. Koutras, presented the situation so perfect, so that make my role very easy, just because a few things left to say. Let me go to the heart of the problem. An important issue for our diaspora who reside in other countries, including the United States, is the extended amount of time needed in order for the registry offices to research and confirm our homogeneous claim in becoming Greek citizens through jus sanguinis, through the line of blood, as you know. So the confirmation sometimes may be impossible for various reasons, including the following. Because of some historical events, as you know, many of the registry archives in Greece have been destroyed, especially before the archive before the Second World War. Many Greeks immigrating when arriving in the United States did not seek to register in the consulate records, and they did not register also any change of their names. Marriages and births which took place in abroad have not been recorded or registered at all in Greek authorities, and therefore their family registration records have not been updated. For the above reasons, we think there is a better solution for our homogenees in the United States or in other countries to apply for the Greek nationality. They could call upon the use of Article 10 of the Codex of Hellenic Nationality Law and claim the Hellenic nationality as a member of diaspora. According to this article, they need to bring to the Hellenic consulate closer to the area that they live every document they have that supports their claim of Greek parentage or heritage. Our consul will make sure that they will then be interviewed, and in the interview they will be asked to demonstrate, as we say, the national conscience. In other words, that they feel Greek because of their Greek heritage. So our government policy has as a target to simplify the procedure, but we have to balance it with all the other issues like security, as you can understand. But we do care for Hellenic diaspora's problems applying for Hellenic citizenship, and we intend to visit for close, let's say, examination of this problem, all the centers that the Hellenic homogenea all over the world lives. So We are open for for any proposal that we make us to make the procedure more easy and more friendly for the members of our diaspora.
Secretary General, what you stated is very exciting, in particular that Article 10 issue, which could be a problem in the normal sense for people to get their passports and citizenship. Where does that interview and that paperwork take place? Does that take place at a consulate, or does that happen in Greece?
Yes, at the consulate. But let's say the council's comments have to come to the ministry in Athens, and then the ministry issues the decision if the people who applied take or not the Greek citizenship.
Well, what you stated today is extremely exciting for many people in the diaspora, and I'll explain why. I mean, many people don't know, but there's tens of thousands of people who are involved in genealogy research, not only in the United States but also in Greece itself, and a lot of the records that sometimes the government does not have. There are records, in fact, in the United States that have to do with research, again, genealogy research. Some of it is obviously in churches that relate to marriages that took place. Unfortunately, just like some of the records that you mentioned, they're not digitized. So I did hold a few years ago the first Hellenic American Genealogy Conference, national conference in New York, and we had hundreds of participants. And again, on various social media platforms, there are in fact groups that have tens of thousands of members who are doing this type of research. I will say that EMBCA, the East Mediterranean Business Cultural Alliance, has made an alliance with what we call Greek Ancestry, which is an organization based in Greece, where in fact we're going to start digitizing records from churches in the United States that relate to birth records, baptism records, marriage records, and all the other things that perhaps are not available. Also, there are organizations, genealogy organizations, that in fact have created records, and they're going, for example, by district. Let's say Laconia, Arcadia, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And they're starting to digitize those records. And as a matter of fact, for example, in Laconia right now, they've had also the archbishop, or the bishop of the area allowed them access. For example, Greek Ancestry, they've allowed them access into their ecclesiastical records, and they're digitizing them village by village. So what you mentioned, and again, we'll discuss it in more detail as we go along.
Well, let me say for this that all this may be very useful during the procedure of Article 10, because as Mr. Koutras said, Dr. Koutras said, the Greek nationality law is very strict. You see, the marriage is under the Greek civil law, the Hellenic civil law. Some marriages, they are not recognized by the civil law at the past, so there will be unexpected problems during the procedure. But if you bring to the consul all this evidence that you are from Greek heritage, and the interview is very, the key is the interview, everything must be more easy.
Very, very interesting. Our next panelist, we're very excited to have Mr. George Horiates, the Supreme President of the Order of AHEPA, by far the largest grassroots organization for Hellenes and Phil-Hellenes worldwide, not only obviously in the United States, but worldwide. He's an attorney by trade. His practice is concentrated in the Philadelphia and greater Delaware Valley area. He is an archon to the Ecumenical Patriarchate of the Order of St. Andrew. He has led the Order of AHEPA into a new and much needed phase of its expanded mission globally, namely defending Hellenism and championing Hellenic issues to Hellenes on a global basis and a global scale. Welcome, George, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Lou, for having me. On behalf of all of us, we thank you, and we thank all of the panelists. AHEPA is proud of these exciting programs as part of that Hellenic Cultural Commission, and proud of our association with you and EMBCA as well. These are the type of programs that make people want to join. If perhaps at some point in time afterwards, if there was some problems in terms of people viewing it, we will also on our end, Lou, send out a notice to our people to log on at a later point in time. You're correct in saying that this is part of the bicentennial celebration. The Eleftheria Thanatos is not going to be compromised by a quarantine of COVID. So I think this was an excellent program for us to participate in. And I commend Dr. Koutras and the Hellenic Republic in such an incredible outreach on this topic. The advantage of the pandemic is that we're able to do these type of programs and do it from the so to speak, the four corners of the earth. And so that's why I'm very excited about it. Usually we would have to fly people in, sit down in some hall somewhere and see if we could do it. So I want to thank the panelists as well. Prior to the pandemic, frankly, something like this, didn't happen often, if it happened at all. But I'm excited to hear. I mean, many of the ideas in terms of a dual citizenship. You forge a relation. This is from someone that was born stateside, right, with a second country, other than that of your nationality. Although we consider ourselves hyphenated and/or Greek Americans, the main advantage that you get is the freedom concerning where you can work, where you can live, where you can travel, so the process has always been something that people have been scared about, and I do appreciate the initiative. Types of dual citizenships are what we would be interested in hearing. I know that the panelists have said that they're mapping it out in terms of Greek nationality, meaning blood right, descent, but also would like to hear a little bit more about the marriage, about declaration, about naturalization, and frankly about investment too, in terms of the requirements for those types, if possible, dual citizenships. The good news is, I mean, the benefits are not just what we feel, is in terms of what you said. We feel Greek and we profess, our deep connections. But again, there's academic institutions that grant privileges with regards to having preference going by between the country of origin and Greece, and there's other various benefits of dual citizenship that Greece can provide as well. And frankly, the possibilities in this global, not just economy, but global process that we have even today, that's still evolving, makes this a very interesting topic that. Despite the challenges, right? Because there are applications that you have to go through, and as the panelists will get into it, but despite that, the conclusion should be that the way to dual citizenship, whether it's by descent and/or something else, is something that really we should take a look at with regards to not only just the requirements of knowing your Greek language and culture, but in terms of the documentation, in terms of the various different categories, and the benefits, I think, of that dual citizenship far outweigh. There's nothing lost if nothing gained if you don't try, right? So I'm excited about it. I would like to hear about those categories and the challenges that people have frankly experienced in the past. I mean, I've heard of challenges people have experienced in terms of trying to prove birthright. That could be sometimes difficult, and frankly, I commend again the government on this incredible outreach to the people, because our hearts also bleed for Greece, and I think that a dual citizenship can only help Greece, not just from an economic perspective, but a cultural perspective, and frankly even a spiritual perspective as well.
Thank you, George. And I think it's important to note also that a lot of the audience is obviously international. They're coming from different parts of the world right now and listening into this program. But in terms of let's say ourselves, yourself, myself, not everyone who's listening, who are Americans, for example, that it's a benefit also to America. In particular, relating to what is happening around the world and certain dysfunctions as it relates to rules of law and all the rest of that. In particular, with what's taking place in the Eastern Mediterranean right now, that involves America in many different ways in many different countries. And so the benefit goes beyond just the individual benefit to a person, but it goes also to the benefit of the nations that they are coming from in terms of what's happening in the world today. And certainly AHEPA is to be commended in those aspects, and all the fights that they've been having with regards to those issues within this nation and internationally. Thank you so much. Our next panelist is, and by the way, some of those things that we're talking about, George and others, we'll go into details in a few minutes. I just want to run through the panel. We're honored to have Maria Markou, the founder and president of Markou Global Legal Group. She is a respected authority on international law, an experienced attorney, certified mediator by New York Peace Institute, a legal journalist, and notary public. She was born in Athens, Greece, and is licensed to practice law both in the Hellenic Republic and in the United States in New York. She holds a diploma in law from the Law School of Athens, an LLM degree from St. Mary's University School of Law in Texas, and an MS degree in sociology and law and European law from Lund University in Sweden. Welcome, Maria, and if you can, a few words for the audience.
Καλή Κυριακή. It is a great pleasure for me, and thank you so much, Lou, for this wonderful event. It's an exceptional event in order, to assist all the Greek Americans and to give them as much as we can in the time that we have, all the information and all the advice that we can. It's a pleasure for all of these things. I will start from day one. When I came from Texas, I was advising all the clients that we need to register all the births, all the marriages, all the vital events of a person. And when I say vital events of the person, what I mean? I mean, we need to register from the beginning until the end in order to have a correct municipality role. When I say municipality role, this is οικογενειακή μερίδα. Otherwise, we will have issues. Our kids are going to have issues. Our grandchildren will have issues. So we need to start from the birth of a person, then from the marriage of a person, after that, divorce, if we have divorces, then to the children's, and then to the death. This is a correct municipality role when it has all these vital things. Most of the times we see that people, they get married, they come from Greece, they get married here in the United States, they have divorces, then they have new marriages. And then, especially with the state issues law, and it is this another thing that is very important. We have this.
Let's not go too far off topic. We're going to get back to the details in a second. Let's not go, to other places like estates and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's very important also the estates, because most of the times when someone dies, then the municipality role is not correct, the citizenship is not correct, and then we have more issues with that. The other problem that we have with citizenships is that the issue regarding the name. So I will use you, Lou. For example, I have people that they come from Greece to United States, and the name was Katsopoulos, let's say, and then they go and they change the name to Katsos. This is a huge problem, and it's the Hellenic Republic needs to have the exact name. So for me as an attorney, I need to find a judicial order that we have this name of change, or to go to US Citizenship and Immigration Services and get all the arrival documentation in order to prove the name of change. Most of the times, if I cannot find this, I can find it through the death certificates that they can say sometimes the amendment of the name, and also, that someone came from Greece. So I really appreciate what you say from genealogy, but for the listeners, they can also try and find all the arrival records from their grandparents that they say that they came from Greece, from Laconia, from Athens, from Rhodes, wherever, and they can use...
Maria, you should know that when I talk about genealogy, there's tremendous records in the United States that tell you exactly when somebody came on board, what ship they were on, who their relatives are in Greece, what village they came from. But I don't want to go into the details right now. All I have to say before we go to the next panelist is this. Did you register your child who's nearby?
Of course, it was the first thing that I did. Of course, both of my daughters, they are Greeks. And also I can say that my husband tried and did before meeting me also everything by himself. But the thing that we can find it's difficult is with the name change, and also, with the issue with tαυτοπροσωπία. Tαυτοπροσωπία, it was a process that, let's say 5-6 years that the law is also enacted, we can say through a declaration, okay, this Maria Markou is the same person as known as Maria Markopoulou. Then, because people, they were taking advantage of this, the Hellenic Republic, and they did the correct thing, they stopped this issue. But because also we have the Deputy Minister that hears about that, I think that we need to make a little bit amendment about this, because we have a lot of people.
We'll get into the details in a second, Maria. Let me go now to Nikolaos of Bregiannos. Nikolaos is a person, obviously, that I've spoken to before. We've had some very interesting discussions. Their law firm does all types of law practices. And Nikolaos is a graduate of the Democratic. Let me try to pronounce it. Demokrition Panepistimion Thrakios, a Bachelor of Law. He also has his Master of Law degree from Georgetown University Law Center. He's an associate with the law firm. Welcome, Nikolaos, and say a few words for us as it relates to this particular topic, and then we'll go into the details. We'll go into the details later.
Don't worry, I'm going to be brief. Don't worry about it. First of all, I have to say I truly understand Maria's passion and vigorous speech, because as lawyers, we found ourselves in problematic situations like that all the time. So, yeah. Thank you, Lou. Thank you to both you and AHEPA for organizing this and bringing together people, the people of diaspora and us together in order to guide them. On behalf of Bregiannos Law Firm, it's an honor to being here and being close to so many, sharing the floor with so many speakers, great speakers. And I think this is a long-awaited conversation. If you look at the last census, Greece has more than 10 million citizens, 10,200,000, and 6 million Greeks live abroad, the people of diaspora, as we call them. And in my opinion, right now, Greece is in a constant state of war, a war with itself, a war with bureaucracy, a war with economy, and I think mostly a war with itself, like a war with 10 years of decades and decades of mismanagement and misgovernance, and a war, mainly an unspoken war with Turkey for the last years, if you excuse me. So the true asset, as Mr. Koutras said before, said that the passport is an asset to these people, the Greek passport. In my opinion, the people of diaspora are the true assets of this country. They can be the ambassadors of our country, promoting our country, not only for investment purposes, but also for all kinds of national matters. So we should never forget these people. We should give them. We should make the procedure faster and faster always. And as Mr. Balermpas said before, the nationality code in Greece is extremely stiff, extremely strict, but it has the Article 10 provisions, giving us, if you feel Greek, and if you can prove you're Greek, then you can acquire the Greek citizenship. It follows the word of Socrates. And as a Greek, I have to remember these words, that you're not Greek because you were born of Greek parents. You're Greek because you share the Greek values, you share the Greek educational system, and the principles of the Greek Greek nation of Greeks. And if you provide over-consuming evidence that you are and feel Greek, then you can acquire it. Right now, for us, in an era of technology, we should make the procedure a little bit faster. The solution is simple, as I said: technology, digitalization of archives, online bookings of interviews. We must make it completely the easiest it can be, the easiest procedure it can be for all these people, and we have to do it now. So this conversation is a long-awaited one, and I'm really waiting to proceed. Thank you so much. And on behalf of our law firm, Mr. Theodourou is here as well. Dr. Nikolaos Theodourou, and he's going to shine a little light on this.
Welcome, Nicholas, and you're obviously an authority on immigration issues as it relates to the what we're talking about. If you can, just tell us a little bit about your background and also your specialty in this regard.
My specialty in the law firm is international business and economic law and administrative law.
No, I meant Theodourou, though.
Oh, Mr. Theodourou. I think Mr. Theodourou can speak for himself a little bit better.
Exactly. That's
Mr. Theodourou, would you like to take the floor?
Yeah. Are you here?
Let Mr. Theodourou speak.
Is Dr. Theodourou here or no? Okay, so there may be a particular issue. I will say, if you can get him, Nikolaos, if you can get him on the phone, we can have him say a few words also before we start into more details. But let me say one thing. In order to do a lot of what is being discussed, and certainly what was the exciting news from the Deputy Minister Konstantinos Vlasis, it takes money. It takes money to digitize a lot of the records and things of that nature. And we are very excited. We are very excited as to some of these strides that are taking place. So what I would like to do is go back to the General Counsel Koutras, and now let's start talking a little bit about the details of the process, if you will, for Hellenic citizenship, and some of the main elements that are required in terms of the legislation that exists. For example, let's talk about what Maria was talking about in terms of the paperwork that's required by the council. Let's say not only yours in New York, but throughout the world, in all the consulates around the world, quite frankly, going to some of the things that are required for people to bring into the council. So you can go to the next step, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lou. First of all, I have to say some 5-6 sentences. If you have Greek parents, things are easier and faster because you inherit the right. If you base your right on your grandparents, be prepared that sometimes the application might even, in rare cases, of course, be rejected because the Greek element must be evident and active. Another sentence that I would like to say is allow time and be very clear about your marital status. To get your own birth registered, dear Lou, you must have your parents' marital status registered, and that cannot be done simultaneously. The same applies to your minor children. Their citizenship cannot begin before you gain full rights of your citizenship. The last sentence I would like to say is to be diligent. I would like to recommend to be diligent with your civil duties. It is your responsibility, our responsibility, to register your US marriage with the Greek authorities. If you do not do that, and decades pass by, you only make the things harder for your children to activate their lawful rights. Now, in the Consulate General of Greece in New York and in other consular authorities, we have tried to facilitate this procedure as much as possible. Within a few days, as Deputy Minister Vlasis said, we are going to have integrated in our website a virtual assistant up and running, and the people, instead of calling and getting no answer for obvious reasons, because we have hundreds of people that they would like to be served at the same time, you will get instructions on a very specific case. On the other hand, I would strongly recommend that you visit the website of the Consulate General of Greece in New York. There, Google Consulate General of Greece in New York. There you can find all the departments. Go to the Registry Department. There you can find the very simple steps with an application form and a questionnaire, the answers of which will guide you through this procedure in the most professional way. Believe me, it is very easy to do that with the help of the technology. And our people here in the consulate, they are working 7 days per week in order to respond to this very high demand that we have for the Greek citizenship, for which, an event of which we are very proud of.
Okay, as the discussion proceeds, anyone who, on the panel who wants to jump on board is fine, quite frankly. But let me ask a question. Let's say I want to register my marriage. Okay, do I go to the consulate and register my marriage? Where do I register my marriage?
You are going to come to the consulate, dear Lou, only at the last stage. You're submitting everything in a digital form. We are preparing the complete envelope of your case, and when the complete envelope is ready, you are going to be contacted in order to make an appointment and come sign the papers and go again to your job. This is the way we are working here, not only because of the coronavirus, but in order to serve the people in a more productive way.
So I would do all the paperwork that was required that I got married, and then set up an appointment, etc., and give the paperwork and sign it, I guess, right?
Correct.
Let's say
you
now
will be guided. You will be guided by our people through emails. Yes.
Right. So let's say now I'm married. I have some children. I have to do another procedure now to register the children. Is that the way it happens?
Correct. First your marriage, then your children.
Okay. Let's say one of the things has to do with descent. We're talking about basic citizenship relating to descent. Let's assume that we're talking about, you mentioned initially the grandparents. If the grandparent was, before we get to the grandparent, let's say one of your parents was Greek, but the other one was not. An issue or no?
Not an issue.
Okay. So, but still, their marriage paperwork has to be submitted again to the consulate, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And also, if they have children, that also has to be submitted to the consulate.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's say I want to get my blood right Hellenic citizenship eventually through my grandparents. Okay, through my grandparents. I have to check what? To see, number one, if my grandparents are even registered anywhere. Is that it or no?
Correct. Correct. We have to find, imagine that we have a tree. We have to find all the branches of the tree. And when the tree is completed, everything is going to run very smoothly.
How far back can we go? How far back can we go? In other words, is the grandparent the furthest we can go back, or can we go back to a great-grandparent?
We wish we could have records in the 18th century. We have records, though, when we can find even digitally for the 19th century. I think it's not reasonable to go further.
No, I'm just asking a question. In other words, what we would have to do in order to bring it to ourselves is we would have to start wherever that start was and register person by person by person till we get to our generation? Is that what we have to do?
Yes, there is also the option that the Secretary General has mentioned.
Which is an exciting option, by the way. Do we have Nikolaos? We have Nikolaos here?
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, you weren't on board before, so So my apology for not introducing you, but if you can, just say a few words regarding to your specialty of immigration.
Absolutely, and I really apologize for the technological inconvenience. Thank you very much, distinguished guests. I really appreciate this invitation. I'm Nikolaos Theodourou. I'm an attorney at law. I've been studying law in Athens Law School, and I had postgraduate studies in the University of Munich, Germany, where I completed my master's and my PhD in European law and public law. And I've been working in the European Commission in Luxembourg, and also in many law firms, renewed law firms in Germany and in Greece, where I live throughout the last years. So basically, the focus of my subject is the international and EU law, and in our law firm, I'm also practicing very much on administrative law. So if I may just say some brief words on the very interesting remarks we have been listening to throughout the last minutes. That would be actually that what the pandemic gave us clearly to understand is that we actually need to focus more on digitalization. Digitalization is very important to the people, and especially to our compatriots abroad, to avoid the negative aspects of the Greek bureaucracy. And with all our respect to the Chancellor, to the Secretary General, to everyone, we are very much aware that many Greek civil servants in Greece and abroad are working very hard to serve the people, but the system has many negative aspects. And if we look at the investors, many people would like to invest in Greece, but actually claim that they don't want to have they don't have any good experience with Greek bureaucracy. So in some way, this is the case also in this issue of the citizenship. So maybe a good proposal is to create, as the Council said before, a platform, a digital platform that will be available to everyone through GovGR. GovGR is the new website of the Greek government that has been created throughout the last months and has been very much developed throughout the pandemic. So many people are using it now, and I think it needs a special section, especially in English language, for those people, for our compatriots that would like to deal with the Greek administration, with the Greek public administration and services, and be able to do this through digitally. So that would be also a good idea for the this issue of citizenship, because, and I'm closing, all the stuff that someone needs to submit to the Greek embassies abroad is the passport, is the birth certificate, and the criminal record, apart from the declaration. All this can be done, according to my opinion, through this digital platform. And maybe this declaration of naturalization before the Council with 2 Greek citizens as witnesses could be replaced through a so-called declaration of responsibility about what someone is declaring. And if the Councillor is actually not convinced about the genuine facts of this, he can call the applicant for an interview. So I think let's facilitate a little bit things to convince the more compatriots we do have to apply for this citizenship, because as my colleague Nico said before, this is one of our biggest assets as Greece. The Greek diaspora is a very big asset for many reasons and for many policies. Thank you very much for your attention.
No. Thank you very much. I will say one thing, as the government, and they're doing a great job, by the way. I see what's taking place in New York, and it's very exciting. And I'm certainly excited about what I heard today from the General Secretary. But as they become more proficient, and the bureaucracy gets more streamlined, I mean, one of the problems is going to be, what are the lawyers going to do? In other words, why would anybody need the lawyers at that particular time if in fact the government has it all under control? I will say we've gotten a lot of comments relating to that particular issue, and let me just read some of the comments that are in social media relating to this. Here's one person. Considering I have 28 emails from the consulate blank, the embassy in Washington, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Greece, all saying, sorry, can't help you, hire a lawyer. That's one comment. Then we have other dysfunctional comments, quite frankly. Another comment, I have already got the citizenship. You need a lawyer. Don't try to do it on your own. And many other comments like that. Some other comments of people taking years, etc. But I'm going to go back. To General Counsel Koutras and Athanasios. If you can say a few words also on this. Again, you're getting obviously more efficient. You're digitizing a lot of your records, and what you indicated before was in fact on your website. And one of the things that talk about Greek citizenship, it relates to the time of birth. That's one thing that you have. The other one is a Greek citizen is a person who is duly registered in the records of a municipality of the Hellenic Republic. And the registration in the municipal records of the Hellenic Republic is the legal premise for Greek citizenship. So General Counsel Koutras, you do the paperwork of what you have to do. Do you send it then to the municipalities? Or what happens with that paperwork that goes into the consulate, the various consulates throughout the world?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed, according to the current law, to send it to the municipality directly, but to the Ειδικόληξη Αρχείο. This is a service in Greece where I have to admit that there are huge delays there because of the workload that the people who are working there are facing. But as maybe the Secretary General would like to announce, there is a modification in the law right now. It should have been taken place at the end of this month, but because of COVID, has been postponed for 90 days, and we are going to end of December, where the people, our compatriots in the consulate, would directly register their events directly to their municipalities. This is going to save enormous time, and we are going to be gaining much more time comparing to now. On the other hand, you will see in the next days that this virtual assistant that we're going to implement, for example, I have it in front of me right now because it is under development, and I am asking, θέλω να γίνω Έλληνας, I want to be Greek. And the virtual assistant replies, very good, I understand that you want to acquire the Greek citizenship. Please answer the following questions so that I can help you. This is automatically, do you have Greek parents or Greek grandparents? And then the person replies, I have Greek parents, I have Greek grandparents, nothing of the two, and goes further to the three that I have presented before. So I think with the help of the technology, as Mr. Theodourou rightfully said, we are going to be in the next century within some days. And as I told you before, remember that the access, the electronic access that all the consular authorities do have now, it saves time that it was Nobody could imagine that in the past. So the consular employers, they can have access immediately on a real time, so that we can find out if somebody is registered or not. Because the majority of the people, unfortunately, they don't have an idea, or they are not sure if they are registered or not, if they are Greek citizens or not.
General Secretary, would you like to just comment on that issue? In other words, the paperwork, this was very interesting, by the way. In other words, it's not a government agency that the paperwork goes to, is what you were saying.
It's a very important reform, as the consul said. We take off the procedure, the special registry office, and now the consulates of Greece can directly write down the register all the events directly to the municipality registry office. But I have to say a few things about parents or grandparents. If your parents was or is a Greek citizen, you can acquire the Greek citizenship, let's say, automatically. But the problem is, if your grandparents were Greek citizens and where they were registered, I have a case that a grandparent from the mother side was registered in 1890, born in 1894 in Livadia. We find out his registration in the Mitro Arenon. You know, all the Greek males go to the Mitro Arenon, and then we established the line of blood. That's the act of determination of Greek nationality. The Ithagenia services in our ministry, the Ministry of Interior Affairs, issues, and then with this act you go and you register in the Metropolitan, and then you take the Greek ID and the Greek passport, the Hellenic passport. There are some other cases. When your grandfather left Greece, he was not officially a Greek citizen. From island of Kos in 1930, he was actually an Italian citizen, not a Greek citizen. So you don't have to, you cannot acquire the Greek citizenship by the line of blood, but you can acquire it as a homogeneous under the provisions of Article 10. That's the issues that we can solve with Article 10, and that's let's say, my suggestion to see, my suggestion to examine the members of diaspora who want to take the Hellenic passport.
So what you're saying basically in terms of Article 10, which I find very interesting, this is one of the fascinating things about this particular event that we're having right now. Let's say my grandparents were in Asia Minor, as we or my and they left before population transfers and all the rest of that. They came to the United States. So with Article 10, you would go through that process. Or my parents came from Vorio Ipiro and they left and they came to the United States. Again, you go through that process. My parents were
from areas of Russia or from Cyprus.
Or even from Epirus, etc. before 1912. Before 1912, and they went into the United States, or in Northern Africa or in Southern Africa, or quite frankly from India, and there were some Greeks in India also. There were a few. So this Article 10 is an extremely interesting scenario. Let me ask you another question. Let's say, and this happened, by the way, in particular as it relates to orphans. In other words, what happened is in many cases, there were children, especially during the post-Civil War period, that came into the United States through various scenarios. They don't know who their parents were, and but they somehow knew they were adopted and they came from Greece. Does that become a DNA issue, or how does that work?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a DNA provision in our law yet.
But let's say I was an orphan. It wasn't my fault. I was born. My parents gave me away. I disappeared. I found out that somehow I was Greek, and in fact, I did the DNA and found who my parent was through DNA.
Yes.
Do I have a birthright?
Yes, we have to see this situation is a very special situation, and we have to see it to examine it and to add it to our law system, because it is a special historical condition. It's that history births these situations. We have to see it. I don't recall any provision about this case. But as I can say, we try to reform Article 10 in order to become more easy the procedure, and to give direct instructions, because we have established a very good collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to help our diplomats all over the world to produce these consular reports, and to make the procedure more easy and, of course, more safe, because we have to also see all these matters of safety, security, and not
Of course.
to have cases that take us back, as you know. So our effort is going to concentrate on this aim: faster, easier, and secure procedure for the acquisition of Hellenic citizenship.
Thank you, Maria.
Lou,
yeah,
if I
ahead,
may,
please.
I just want to ask: is this initiative something born out of the bicentennial? In other words, is this something that we're trying to gear up in terms of a response to the pandemic? How did it come about that
the initiative? No, you're talking about our initiative, international initiative regarding this.
The Hellenic Dual Citizenship Initiative itself.
Yeah. So what happened? So what happened, George? You're partly responsible for this. I hate to say this. As I was driving home, I remember when we were doing the event that had to do with genealogy, Hellenic genealogy tourism, and you gave me a call and you said, "Hey, listen, this is very exciting. Lou, why don't you do a whole bunch of events around the 200th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution?" And I said, "You know what? I was planning these events regardless. And quite frankly, as I indicated before, we've already had 5 events relating to the 200th anniversary from different angles. And we're going to have at least another dozen events that'll relate again to that." Well, so the initiative came up as this: knowing that that AHEPA was having its Supreme Convention in Athens in July, and knowing, in fact, the tremendous push for dual citizenship, it clicked, and we said, you know what, we're doing an event in July, and as you know, historically, AHEPA has done it for the 100th year anniversary. It has done it for the 50th anniversary, and now the 200th anniversary. What great thing, but that we have a dual citizenship initiative relating to the 200th anniversary for all these people who not only feel Hellenic, are Hellenic, and in fact, Hellas, for me, and I don't want the political aspects to get involved, Hellas in my mind right now is in danger. And right now, in my mind, there's nothing stronger. There's nothing stronger for the nation to have people engaged in what is happening in the Eastern Mediterranean. So that basically was the push.
So Lou, I guess another point I would like to bring up, it was brought forth by you earlier. We have the attorneys on the line, and there was this general sense of, well, do you need an attorney or do you not need an attorney? And of course, we know that you really don't need an attorney, but at the end of the day, I think I would like to hear from them. I think the public would like to hear from them as to why it's a pretty good idea to have one.
No, we're gonna go there right now. I know you're an attorney. My wife is an attorney. My son is a law professor. I keep saying that I don't care for attorneys. That's my thing, but everybody related to me is an attorney. So I'm gonna go to Maria actually. And Maria, we cut you off earlier because I wanted to go into the details later. But once people submit the various paperwork into the consulate, it has to go to the municipality. And you know the horror stories of what takes place. So if you can, Maria, go into detail now of all the horror stories and why, in fact, attorneys have helped. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, you have a wonderful family, 24/7 legal protection with a son and a wife, as attorneys. But I would like, to clarify something that the Honorable Consul said. He said that when one of the parents is Greek, there is no issue. I would like to clarify, and this is one of the roles that we play as attorneys, that, okay, when one of the parents is Greek is fine, but when we have a marriage, and I see that all the time, imagine from March until now, I filed 628 Greek citizenship, and I'm very proud, and in the end of the year, we will list all the persons. So one of the things that I have an issue all the time is that some people, they didn't have the Greek Orthodox marriage. They had Protestant, they had the evangelistic marriage. So in this situation, I need to prove as an attorney and to use other criteria in order to prove the Greek citizenship. So this is one of the issues. Another issue as an attorney that I have a lot of times, and it cannot be done through the consul, is to recognize the foreign divorce that people they have. This is a legal situation, and this is why the consulate is doing the right thing. The consulate and the governmental agencies cannot act as attorneys, so they are doing the right thing. When they see a divorce, they say, you have to go to an attorney. I'm not an attorney, in order to recognize your foreign divorce. They are doing the best that they can based on their operation and their roles. All of us, we need to have our roles and to be in the part of this. The other thing that the consulate will forward the case, to an attorney is when we have the apostille. What I want to clarify, all the documents that we use for international use based on the International Treaty of Hague, it needs to have apostille. The consulate, they will do all the other stuff, but they will forward again someone to an attorney in order to process all of the documents. And sometimes in order to get the apostille, you need to have affidavits, enarches katathesis, as we say in Greek, in order, to get the apostille. So for all these things, a lot of times, the attorney needs, to intervene and save the situation. It's not something that the government will do. So we have the divorces. Most of the times, I am doing all the time name of changes because people, they want to amend their name in order to prove that they came from another name. So let's say Yanoulakos became Yanos. So I need to do through the US court or maybe through the Greek court, it depends what documentation I have, the name change. Again, this is a court situation. It's not something that the consulate needs to do. The rest of the things, sometimes, as attorneys, you understand that we have facilitate. And based on our experience all these years, we can facilitate. We have more ties with the consulate, with the governmental agencies. I have my office in Athens. We are filing in the Special Registry of Athens. The first thing, all the documents and all the cases. It's quicker. Always when you use an attorney, things can get quicker in every country that you are, not only the Hellenic Republic. But I can say that all these years that I am attorney in Greece, 15 years now that I practice, I see that the Greek government, the last years, and especially the consul here in New York, is doing the best. They are more, in a schedule. They are more with technology. They try, to have everything in a data and to make also our lives as attorneys easier. So I think that we make a lot of steps in progress. And in this situation, I see that I'm very happy that the government is doing all these steps and we have a very good relationship. So this is why sometimes, and most of the times, people, they use attorneys for all these things, that they are legal actions and are required to be done through an attorney, that he is also, registered and specialized in the Greek law. And this is why people, they are using us. Sometimes for facilitation, people here in New York, they are working, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They cannot do this. Sometimes I have people, they are telling me, I want to be in my couch and Maria Maria do everything. I don't want to do anything, you know. I don't want to be in a governmental, you know, office and wait and everything. So this is why people they are using Katolis, and I think it's the best.
No, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Listen, for anybody.
Lou,
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but for your public out there, they're not as quick, so to speak, as this illustrious panel. The apostille is basically a Hague Convention abolishing the requirement of a legalization for foreign public documents. So if you're stateside and an attorney from Greece and or someone from Dr. Koutras' office says to you, "Hey, I need that document with a seal on it, with an apostille," you know, that merely means that you have to now take the person who notarized, whether it's a translation or whatever it is, to your local state's Secretary of State to have it certified that the Notary Public was actually registered. And when you have that sraida, so to speak, that seal on it, then you can take it back. I know there's a lot of technicalities, but I don't want people to think, "Oh, what's apostille?" As Maria described it.
No, that's a good point.
International convention, and certainly they will explain to you when they throw out these words that are very, very foreign, not just in English, but in Greek too, because it's the term itself is not Greek and it's not English. You know, it's French. So
Listen, a good point, and thank you for that, George. But let me ask another question, which nobody answered yet. The paperwork is in place. Okay, the paperwork goes to the municipality. What happens next?
No,
what if you can't get the response from the municipality? What happens then?
That's the most common problem.
No, go ahead, Nikolaos. Go ahead. And Maria.
So first of all, I couldn't agree more with what Maria said. And also, for many of you, there is a saying in Greece, "Μακριά από γιατρό και δικηγόρο," stay away from lawyers and doctors, but we are needed. So the problem is when you get all the papers, when you gather everything, and then you send the papers to the municipality, that you never get a response.
Yes.
Well, the response comes months and months after your message.
Years, maybe years.
Maybe I haven't seen years, but at least 8-9 months.
I've seen 6 years, by the way.
You've seen 6 years, yeah. It gets. Yeah. So what we need from the government is to put some pressure on the municipality registries and to the Kodiksi Archio, as Mr. Koutras said before, and to make things a little bit faster, or a lot faster in our case. And maybe in the central registries, like the biggest one, at least, the Athens registry, in the Kodiksi Archio, in the special registry, or in mostly the bigger ones in Greece, they should have an office regarding all these cases coming from Diaspora, coming from Homogenia, and 2 or 3 employees gathering, checking facts and gathering documents as fast as they can. Because it's a different procedure from applying in Greece. All these documents have been transferred back to the embassies and to the consulates, and it takes definitely double or triple the time. So that's the problem for us.
The reason why I bring up this issue is that certainly post-Civil War, many of the people assembled into major cities, and many of the people are located there. But in the diaspora that we're talking about, many of the people who are abroad in particular, they came from the countryside. In other words, their parents were from the countryside, their grandparents were from the countryside. And one of the issues, and that's why I'd like to have that discussion, because one of the issues that takes place is those municipalities, not Athens, maybe Thessaloniki, but those smaller municipalities are not responding. So what is taking place on the secondary level to the smaller municipalities? What is happening there? Can somebody respond to that question? Anybody?
Yes, I can. And
yes.
I cannot agree with you. On the contrary, I would say that with the reform implemented by the current government, you get reaction from the smallest municipality immediately. We are facing that every day in the consulate when we are sending questions as regards the registration of a citizen. The issue right now, as the Secretary General can confirm, is the Kodiksi Archio. This is where we have the delays, not in the municipalities. And our duty is to control everything and send the right paperwork there so that the people is duly registered without any issues. Because if you have something wrong by the application form, then it is going to take time again to come back and correct, etc., etc. So the municipalities, with the reform already implementing, they're up and running without delays. There is the issue with the colleagues here, as I told you, but within months, or let's say 90 days or even less, we are going to have the new system, and there are going to be no delays with the registrations and the acquisition of the Greek citizenship.
I appreciate that, by the way, but there are, I have to admit, and I don't want to go into any details, obviously, but we've gotten a lot of correspondence, in particular from people who are saying that the municipalities are not responding in due course. But regardless of that, I think what we'll do is wrap this up. I think perhaps in a few months, if it's okay with everyone here, we'll continue this particular discussion, because I think it's an extremely important issue for discussion. And if we can, panelist by panelist, just give some closing remarks. We'll start with Dr. Koutras, if you can say a few words first.
If you allow me, Lou,
yes,
I would suggest that the same panel, we can have a discussion, and I will come to you so that we can share our screens and guide the people through the digital era that we have created, so that they can they can submit, they can follow the steps, the instructions, everything, so that they can submit their request in the proper way, so that everybody saves time and make the acquisition of the Greek citizenship an easy task.
Listen, this is fantastic. So what you're saying is we set up another time where people can log in, and we can have people at the consulate, for example, walk everyone through those different steps. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
That's fantastic, by the way. That is a great suggestion. The best thing that came out of this was exactly that, because you know better than I do, and anyone here, what takes place at the consulate, with everybody going crazy, blaming the consulate and the various consulates throughout the world, by the way, as being the real problem, when in fact there's information that's lacking. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So is that your closing remarks, or would you like to say some more?
Yeah, no. The system is up and running. Everybody can log in, Google Consul General of Greece in New York, go there, and you will find everything. Believe me, very easy instructions. Our instructions are living documents, meaning that when we have issues with those instructions, meaning that the people do not understand what we are saying, we are updating continuously. Every day, we are updating our website so that the people, they get the right information, get the right answers immediately.
This is fantastic. General Secretary, if you can have some closing remarks for us.
Yes, I have to make a final note. Allow me to express our great and warm interest in making the issue of acquiring Greek citizenship more accessible to our diaspora. In this direction, we tend to move quickly and decisively. And we are ready to work hard to make the procedure easier in close collaboration with our diplomats all over the world. That's my final remark.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and congratulations again to you for being on board. And you really helped us illuminate this particular issue. George, some closing remarks?
Well, not really. I mean, my remarks would be a really incredible thank you to the Consul General, to the General Secretary, to these honorable servants that are providing this wonderful work to us. But before we get off, if we can hear from the three attorneys in their closing remarks, if they can shout out their emails and or contact information, I think that would be something that would be pretty important for the people that are out there.
We're going to go one by one, and we'll start with Maria. Closing remarks and your email address. Because George is plugging the lawyers to get business, which is fine.
Thank you, George. On behalf of all lawyers.
No, hold on a second. Maria's first. Maria.
I always, admire all my colleagues everywhere that they are. And, there is business for everyone. I would like to thank you, Lou, personally for this wonderful event. Also, the brothers of AHEPA, the George Horiates, the Honorable Consul, that he's the best, I can say. And the Consulate of New York is the best. The Mr. Athanasios Balermpas and the rest of the colleagues, Mr. Bregiannos and Theodourou. For me, I'm happy that I see a lot of Greeks, to get registered. I hope this will continue for a lot of years. Regarding our offices, we have an office in Manhattan, in Astoria, in Long Island, an office in Athens, in Hippocrates, and also, in Cyprus, because we also want to register the Cypriot people.
Of course.
They can find all the information, online, just to Google our firm, Markou Global Legal Group. We have 2 websites in order, to book their appointments in person and also virtually, because we have also COVID. And our phone number is 347-617-9772.
No, go slowly, Maria, go slowly.
It's okay, they will find me, 347-617-9772. Markou, they know me, it's okay. I want to wish a happy Sunday for all and all the best to everyone.
Maria, a closing remark from me to you. Okay, what's happening with the Hellenic societies and the Greek parade, Maria? We have to get on board to push them.
I know, but the thing is that we need to understand that we need to be unified, and we're not going to lose anything, from each other. If we are unified, we will succeed to everything. And I hope Greeks, they understand this days by days.
Nikolaos, some closing remarks, and please your phone number and also the email. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lou. It was a great pleasure, both myself and Mr. Theodourou, being with you and discussing this incredible topic. And I have to say, it's one of these occasions that when you leave the conversation, you leave optimistic after discussing with so many great government officials and seeing what the government is preparing. And I'm truly optimistic about what is coming up. And you can Google us at Bregiannos Law Firm, and you can find anything about us. We have offices in Athens, Beijing, and Brussels. And we're ready to take your application the next step and work with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Theodourou, some closing remarks?
Yeah, let me thank you all for the invitation, the organizers especially, and for this great discussion, which hopefully will be repeated quite soon. Just as a closing remark, I want to say that Greece is not only the Greek state. Everybody recognizes it. Greeks are everywhere, and there are people that feel Greece in themselves and want to have Greece as close as they can. So let's help them do this. And this is a very important landmark for our history, the 200 years from the War of Independence in 1821. So let's remind that at that point of time, when the revolution erupted, the majority of Greeks were not living in Greece where the revolution took place. They were abroad. And those people helped significantly from Capodistrias to other.
They were of the diaspora.
Yes. So the diaspora gave the decisive push for the independence itself. Of course, the struggle and the battles and the blood of the heroes, it was important, but the diaspora pushed in the courts of the European powers for the independence to come. So these people are actually those people we need for Greece after the 200 years because of the dangers we face, the challenges we face. So let's help them. I have a small closing remark, and if the Secretary General can answer us. For example, in the draft law that you have been presenting and the consultation has been closing, we've seen that in Article 10, you add an administrative fee for the application of naturalization, 100 euros, which was not in the previous version of the law. So, of course, the sum is not so big, but why is that? I mean, I think it's somehow may be sending a wrong message to the people to our compatriots that would like to apply. So if it's not so important financially, I think you should remove this. So thank you again very much. And let's hope that as many Greeks as possible will apply for citizenship in the coming months.
Thank you for those words. I will say that one of the events that we are having, I'm talking about not only EMBCA, but also AHEPA, the AHEPA Hellenic Cultural Commission, is the diaspora and its effects on the revolution of 1821 from Rigas Piraeus to Kolokotronis, because Kolokotronis himself was of the diaspora. He had to leave the Moria. He had to go. We'll get back in a second. One second, General Secretary. He left the Moria because he had to, because there was a firman by the Sultan. He was in the British military and then came back to Greece. Obviously, the Filiki Eteria in Odessa, and obviously many of the other compatriots who came and helped start the revolution. My apology, General Secretary.
Yes, first of all, I make a comment about Mr. Dr. Theodourou said. All the applications, all the forms of application have an administrative fee. Only this. So for as an issue of equality, we had to put even the stateless, they have to pay 100 euros. So for it's a equality, is an equality measure. And I will tell you about what they said about the revolution. When the first Ethnosynelevsi Congress came to the question, who can we consider as Greeks? The first issue was the language, but there are a lot of Greeks that they didn't speak Greek. The second issue was the religion, but we have Catholic Greeks in the islands of Aegean. Yes. And finally, what they conclude, as Mr. Koliopoulos, our great historian, says, is the feeling that you are Greek, the national conscience. So everybody who feels that he is Greek can acquire the Greek citizenship. Every member of diaspora who can, who has this feeling can apply for the Greek citizenship, and we will be happy to examine his application. So
that's tremendous.
The conscience is the most important thing.
Thank you so much. I will add one thing, that the diaspora was always larger in terms of population until 1923, when you had the exchange of the populations. So the diaspora was the majority of Hellenes abroad, if you will. George, if you can, give us AHEPA's website, because obviously AHEPA was one of the main factors in, quite frankly, pushing American citizenship. And with this particular initiative, who knows, maybe AHEPA will do all types of things. And with AHEPA being here and with everything that we heard today, this is historic. By the way, what took place today and the discussion we have today, the initiative that we have, is historic. George, the AHEPA website.
It's ahepa.org, and or if you feel like typing more, it's ahepa.org/join. And I think these are interesting times. Take a look at the website, the programs that we have. No program greater than defending Hellenism and imparting those Hellenic values, those American Hellenic values, to all of Western civilization. Thank you, Lou, for the softball.
Thank you so much. And the EMBCA website is EMBCA.com, EMBCA.com. Along with AHEPA, we will be having a few events from now until the end of the year. Obviously, on October 26th, we're going to have the annual Orchid Day event, the turning point of World War II, panel discussion. In November, we will have Hydra, Little England, and her ships of liberty in the Hellenic Revolution. In late November, we will have Doing Business in Greece panel discussion. And in December, we will have the heroic Hellenic women and their effect on the Hellenic Revolution of 1821. Thank you all. Thank you to the panelists. You were fantastic. Thank you to the audience. Apologies to those who will listen to this as a recording, because apparently so many people try to get on board YouTube, it crashed. But regardless, the message will get out. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.